Welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking a really fascinating experiment that absolutely tests the limits of our daily routines. Just imagine, for a second, committing to waking up at exactly 5 a.m. every single day. We're talking 30 days straight. No excuses, no hitting snooze, and definitely no sleeping in on the weekends. Well, the subject of this experiment actually did exactly that, setting out to document the real, unfiltered effects this radical shift would have on their energy, their skin, their weight, and of course, their mind. It's a 30-day wellness experiment that really pushes boundaries, and as you'll see, the results are incredibly revealing. It's a question so many of us ask ourselves every single morning, right? You're lying there, reaching for your phone just to buy 9 more minutes of precious sleep. But what really happens when you stop hitting snooze? What does the human body actually go through when you force such a sudden, drastic change on its natural resting state? In this explainer, we're going to look at the exact week-by-week breakdown to figure out what it takes to survive and, eventually, totally thrive during this kind of massive routine overhaul. Okay, let's dive into this because the subject's own words capture the vibe of this whole experiment perfectly. Going into a 30-day challenge like this, you'd probably expect to just feel exhausted all the time. Or maybe, I don't know, you expect to instantly transform into some hyper-productive superhero. But the subject actually noted that the documented changes to their body and their mindset completely caught them off guard. It was not at all what they were expecting. So, to truly understand how these unexpected results unfolded, we're going to map out the chronological journey of this experiment. We'll analyze the physiological and psychological changes week by week, from week 1 all the way through week 4. All right, let's kick things off with week 1, the jet lag struggle. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the science behind the struggle. According to the source, this first week was, frankly, brutal. The subject was totally used to waking up at 8 or 9 a.m., so suddenly demanding the body wake up 3 to 4 hours earlier, it felt exactly like severe jet lag. For those first few days, they were overwhelmingly groggy, super irritable, and literally questioning their life choices by day 3. And here's why. Your body runs on a circadian rhythm. It's like this deeply ingrained internal clock that strictly controls when you feel sleepy and when you feel alert. Forcing an early wake-up just completely scrambles that delicate clock at first. But here's the secret. If you stay perfectly consistent, the clock actually resets itself. The subject noted that by day 5, pushing through all that grogginess finally paid off, and waking up got noticeably easier. Moving right along to week 2, the energy shift. So, during the second week, that initial shock really started to wear off. The subject began utilizing those dark, early hours to take a 20-minute walk outside in natural sunlight. And this brings us to a really vital piece of the puzzle, melatonin. This is the hormone that directly controls your sleep cycles. The absolute key here is that morning sunlight exposure plays a massive role in regulating your melatonin production. Because they were getting outside for that 20-minute walk in the early morning light, their brain was getting a loud and clear signal to regulate this hormone. The result? They weren't just waking up earlier, they were actually falling asleep way faster at night. In fact, by day 10, their melatonin was so perfectly regulated that they were waking up naturally, completely without an alarm clock. No way, right? And the biological result of that newly regulated melatonin extended way beyond just their sleep. It totally dictated how they felt all day long. They reported noticeably more stable energy from morning until evening, with one massive, absolutely crucial victory: no more 3 p.m. crash. You know that heavy, sluggish feeling that usually hits right in the middle of the afternoon? It completely vanished, gone, replaced by just a smooth, consistent level of alertness. Okay, on to week 3, physical changes. And this brilliantly illustrates the answer to the burning question everyone always asks. Did their body actually physically change without doing some extreme fad diet? The answer is a resounding yes, but the reason is brilliantly simple. Waking up early didn't somehow magically burn calories. It simply gifted the subject with time. Before this experiment, their mornings were totally rushed, leading to frantic habits. Grabbing processed food on the go, constantly skipping workouts. By waking up at 5 a.m., they suddenly had the time needed to swap those reactive, rushed habits for proactive, healthy ones. They finally had time to prep healthier meals and commit to proper, focused workouts. So the crucial point is that this extra time, combined with the vastly improved sleep quality we just talked about, had a profound chemical effect on the body, specifically when it comes to cortisol. Cortisol is widely known as the stress hormone. When it's running high, it's directly linked to things like stubborn belly fat and intense food cravings. Because the subject was finally getting high-quality, regulated sleep, their cortisol levels actually became heavily balanced. And balancing that stress hormone yielded highly visible physical results. Because their cortisol was lower, and because having more time naturally led to less daily stress and much better digestion, the subject experienced a noticeable reduction in bloating. Their skin, which they previously described as dull, actually began to look healthier and way more vibrant. They even dropped some water weight. And remember, none of this was from a crash diet. It was entirely the physical manifestation of lower stress, better sleep, and healthy habits made possible by just having a few more hours in the morning. Finally, we hit the home stretch. Week 4, the mental shift. Despite all those amazing positive physical changes, the absolute biggest transformation of the entire month wasn't physical at all. It was completely psychological. The real magic lived in those quiet hours before the rest of the world woke up. Just think about it for a second. At 5 a.m., there are absolutely no notifications buzzing on your phone. There are no immediate emails demanding your attention, no noise from traffic, no busy households. It's just you. The subject described feeling significantly calmer and more focused. Instead of waking up and immediately reacting to the crazy demands of the day, they felt like they were finally in control of it. And it turns out there's robust science backing up these exact psychological benefits. Scientific studies consistently link early rising with lower reported daily stress and significantly better mood regulation. So it's not just some anecdotal feeling, it's a scientifically observed phenomenon. The subject genuinely felt this deep sense of calm and emotional stability by the time they hit that 30-day mark. Let's move to and see how this builds into our final section, the blueprint, how to start tomorrow. When you look at the holistic benefits here, better sleep quality, stable energy, reduced bloating, clearer skin, and a much calmer mind, it's a pretty impressive list for just one single habit change. If you want to experience this yourself, here is a highly actionable 3-part blueprint you can use to start your own 5 a.m. challenge. We're talking small shifts for big results. First, please do not jump straight to 5 a.m. tomorrow if you normally wake up at 9. Instead, wake up just 15 minutes earlier every 3 days to gently ease your circadian rhythm into the change. Second, get natural sunlight within 30 minutes of waking up to immediately start regulating that melatonin. And third, absolutely avoid looking at your phone for the first 10 minutes. Protect that early morning mental clarity. So, we've explored the brutal first few days, the biological energy shifts, the surprising physical benefits of simply having more time, and the ultimate mental clarity that comes from owning your morning. Knowing all the science, all the struggles, and the incredible rewards, would you try the 5 a.m. challenge? Seriously, think about how those quiet hours could completely reshape your days. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope it gives you something fascinating to think about tomorrow morning.